it's time to look at what I came up with as the tiers of SIMPdom. All right. So there are many videos made recently about this idea of being a simp. Okay, and I haven't really put my take on it yet, and I figure it's useful, especially since we're getting toward the end of No Nut November, and for those of you who are losing hope or losing steam, maybe this perspective will reignite you a little bit. Okay, because I think one of the big things that happens when you use porn and stuff like a ton is that you become like a fish in water. It just becomes something that it's such a part of your environment, such a part of who you are, how you show up, like how you think, that you can't even see it for what it is. So we gotta step outside of this and see what exactly are we doing, and is this the person that we want to be? Okay, so let's talk about a tier 1 simp. Okay, I'll call this a soft simp or soft simping. Okay, and this is a situation where a woman, like, we're going to keep it heterosexual. You can do whatever sort of adjustments you need to for different configurations of sexuality, but we're going to talk about it in heterosexual terms. Okay, it would be a woman showing off her, assets, her TNA, trying to dress provocatively, behave provocatively, and get some attention for it. Okay, a soft simp, tier 1 simp, what he does is he gives her the attention that she wants. Okay, and what the guy gets is he gets a little boost of, sexual stimulation. All right, so this is something where it's just as simple as like, a provocatively dressed woman walks down the street and you're just like, oh, and you just like ogle her and you're like, oh, and you just like can't stop thinking about her for a little bit. It could be you just like, scrolling through Instagram, looking at butt cheeks, that kind of stuff. Like Instagram is like soft simp heaven. It's just like, women wanting attention for their bodies and men being happy to give them attention for their body. And, I would say most guys engage on this. It's almost like a reflex until you train yourself to be a soft simp a little bit. Okay. Now, on its own, like, it's not good. You're kind of, taking some power away from yourself. You're letting women take control over you. You are maybe not being able to fully honor your dignity. And you also get easily distracted and maybe even manipulated. Okay. Like, if there's like pretty girls can get their way if you're a soft simp. They can kind of wrap you around their finger and, you'll give them more leeway and whatnot than maybe you would to someone else. And, it usually doesn't work to your benefit. But things get even worse when we go up to simp level 2. And I would call this the sticky simp. All right. And this is when you actually start jerking off. Okay. This is when you actually start, watching porn and doing that sort of thing. Okay. And this is where things get truly undignified, I would say. Like in the case of porn use, what's going on there? Let's put this in evolutionary terms. It's like the hunter-gatherer equivalent of like watching the alpha of your little tribe who's bigger, stronger than you, like bang the chick that you want, that you're attracted to, and you just kind of like jerking off in the bushes while you watch. Okay, like it's like the saddest thing. But you don't think about it like that when you've been doing it since you're 12 years old. It's just kind of like brushing your teeth. It's just, this is what I do. But like when you step back and look at it, it's like, do I want to be that guy? I would argue that most of you probably don't. I know I certainly don't. Right? It's the same thing with fantasy, essentially. It's like, you're giving your life force to something that has no use. You're literally just creating a virtual world in your brain where you're stealing some like woman's, image, and you're using it to pleasure yourself. Okay. It's just weak. It just gives so much of your power and your psychology over to something that serves no purpose other than to deepen the power of women over you. That's what happens, is you just become more and more enslaved to the opposite sex, or even just the idea of the opposite sex. And it's just not a useful or fruitful act in any way, and it just drains you. It can build addiction. It can do all this kind of stuff. But things get probably, the worst once you get up to simp level 3, okay? And this is where you start doing hard simping. So we got soft simping at first, then we got the sticky simp, and now we got the hard simp, okay? The hard simp is when you actually start like investing in the relationship, but like in the wrong way. It's like you put the pussy on such a high pedestal that you start charging yourself admission, all right? It's like OnlyFans. That's hard simping. It's like, I'm going to pay you for your pictures, or, a premium porn site, or a prostitute, or something like that, where like you've given women so much power over you that you're going to pay them to temporarily relieve you of your miserable state, and then ultimately just deepen that state in yourself. And, it's a sad thing, but a lot of guys end up here. And I get it because you're constantly looking for a greater high. That's one way to look at it. But I think in many ways you're trying to get further and further away from where you're actually at. Because it's like if you don't give into that and you've got that craving, what do you have to do? You have to confront that sense of lack and longing inside of yourself. You have to confront that part that's disappointed that you're not getting the sexual attention or affirmation that you really want. And that can be painful. That can be painful. And that's what I think a tier 3 simp really is that someone who is deeply dissatisfied with themselves, their romantic status, all kinds of different things, because, sex becomes a proxy for pretty much everything at a certain point. And this is them just running away as hard as they possibly can from actually addressing these deeper issues. Now, there's going to be some people who tell me that, like, no, this is totally valid way to operate. This is a totally, aligned and healthy form of sexuality. Do not demonize sex work. This is good, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, fine, you want to do that? Go ahead. I still think it's fucking dumb. I think it's really embarrassing. And I feel really bad. I feel really bad for people who do it. I think that they have a problem. And if you want to say it's not a problem, go at it. That's your call. You can try and live your life like that. I'm overwhelmingly confident you will not find peace and satisfaction down that route. And so that's why I would invite you to develop some sexual self-mastery. Embrace your dignity. Stop putting pussy on a pedestal. All right? Take control of your life. Take control of your energy. And this is not an easy thing. Okay, it's really not. But like, if you don't take care of it, there's a significant level of there's a significant enough number of people who like actually leave the stratosphere of planet simp and they start, really kind of, spending some significant time on planet creep, right? Because it's like, after you get past tier 3 hard simping, then you just become a creep. You start giving your sexual attention to women that don't want it, right? So it's like sexual harassment, or worse, or just being like, a creep to women who are not trying to advertise themselves to you while walking down the street. Or maybe you're watching some very illicit stuff online that you should not be watching. And so you want to stay away from that sort of thing. But more than anything, it's like, take control of your energy, right? Like this whole idea of chastity. I hate that word because it's built like chastity and purity. It's got like these Christian connotations around it that are just, I think the sentiments are good, but the way they've been communicated historically is just so frustratingly lame that it just doesn't communicate what it's about. Like the way that I see it is like, it's about power. It's about, do you let your power leak out in authentic ways, right? Like the idea of chastity is really about like, do you have a fortress up around your energy so that like only the things that you want to give your energy to get it? Or are you like this big sieve that any woman with like some, cleavage can walk by and just steal your energy and steal your mind? That's what we want to get away from. That's the bad stuff. So you gotta learn how to take control, and you can check out my free stuff, Sexual Self-Mastery series, my reboot regimen if you want to quit porn. And then if you want like the masterclass on this kind of stuff, you'll have to check out my Reforged Man course or, get into my Apex Report stuff that I'm going to be releasing. But basically, you want to make your energy yours.